Hey YouTube land and also social media lands, welcome to an all new video. In this video we're doing a movie review of a new film that just came out in the middle of last month and is a reboot slash kind of remake that is taking this to a whole new level, so we're going to get right into that. Before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video and any other videos I put up. As always people, if you enjoy my content here on YouTube, definitely check out my other social media platforms such as X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. Pretty much post on these regularly, so definitely check them out. As always, people, let's get right into this. So welcome one and all to an all-new video. In this video, we're doing, like I said before, a movie review of a new film that came out the middle of last month, and is a reboot remake of a classic from Universal called Wolfman. Yeah! Wolfman. Yeah! So Wolfman is a reboot remake of the classic original Wolfmans that we've seen in the past. Of course, we have the 2010 Wolfman, and then of course we have the original back in the 40s. And of course, you know, we've seen Wolfman several other times over the years, and this is kind of a whole new take on the character, a whole new take on the Wolfman, which is completely different than what I've seen in, you know, past Wolfman films. Kind of similar premise, but you know, took it to a whole different level, brought it to a new generation, and made it in modern times as well. Now, this happens to be directed none other by a gentleman that goes by the name of Mr. Leigh Whannell. Oh yeah, Leigh Whannell, woo, Leigh Whannell, yeah! So Leigh Whannell, you might recognize, of course, from the Saw films. He was part of the co-creating team of the Saw franchise. He starred as a character in a couple of the Saw films, and he's always been like an executive producer majority of the time on most of the Saw films. So the fact that, you know, Leigh Whannell is, I think, a really great writer. He knows how to create a really great story, and is a very talented, I think, you know, director that really brings a lot of great shining to his horror films that he does. And I love that he sticks to the horror genre because I think he has a really good niche for it. I think he's really good at it in that he brings that to a whole new level. And he definitely brings a different type of feel to the, you know, to his films as well. He also brings kind of a almost meta feeling to his films as well, to bring in kind of the more current, you know, ideas and so forth. So I thought, you know, that he definitely did that with this film, giving us this very different take on the Wolfman, and gave us something that was definitely not really what you expected at all. Because if you think about it, in all the other Wolfman films, you know, basically the person, you know, is, you know, goes from being normal to being a Wolfman. You know, there's no in between. There's no development of him turning into the Wolfman and so forth and so like that. And that's kind of what Leigh Whannell did with this. Is he gave it a whole new level of thought process, which I thought that was really fantastic. But overall, I didn't care too much for what he brought to the film. I thought that it wasn't as good as it could have been. I also think that there was a lot that he could have done differently and made it a little more entertaining. And at the same time, I felt that there's a lot of long stretches that were just seemed very boring and didn't really bring the same flavor as the classics or even the 2010 Wolfman. And it was just interesting that, you know, he took it to that different type of perspective, but at the same time, I don't think it paid off like he did with some other films he's done. And so I was like really surprised that he decided to go the direction he did with this film and kind of make it a little more depressing and not nowhere as much as like a monster Universal type of film. But overall, I think that he still did a good job of giving us some really great set designs, giving us a great kind of overarching area that the film takes place in. And I think that he did a good job of giving some, you know, decent performances out of some of the scenes. But overall, I think that, you know, he just didn't do exactly what I felt he could have done, especially with what he did with previous films I've seen him do. Now, if you're not familiar with any of Leigh Whannell's films, definitely check out a film he did back in 2020 that I think is his best work to date, and I absolutely loved what he did with that film and that reboot. And, of course, that is the film called The Invisible Man. Yeah, The Invisible Man. Yeah, Invisible Man. Yeah, he did a really fantastic job with the Invisible Man reboot. I thought he did a really amazing job with the story, with bringing it to a whole new level, bringing it to current day, giving us this whole other idea behind why he becomes the Invisible Man. Whereas, like, if you remember in the original, he's this guy that develops the serum and then basically kind of goes crazy from using the serum. Whereas in this, the guy is just a sadistic dick type of character that is doing this because he's not getting his way. And so they took it to a whole new level, and I thought that was very brilliant writing. I thought that was a very great reboot, kind of remake to take this to a whole new level, which played out way better than how I felt The Wolfman did. A really amazing film. If you have not seen it, Elizabeth Moss was fantastic in it, and Lee did such a great job bringing that film to life and giving us a really solid film that I just thought was really amazingly done. If you haven't seen anything Lee Whannell has directed, definitely check out The Invisible Man. He did a really fantastic job with that. But like I said, overall, I thought he did an okay job with The Wolfman. I definitely think he could have made it better. He could have done a little different and given us a better perspective. But overall, I think he did an okay job. If you haven't seen anything, Lee Whannell has directed, definitely go check out The Wolfman in the theaters now. See what you think. So this movie has a very small cast. Pretty much only really 3 people are in this entire film. And they basically take up the encompassing majority of the film as these characters. And I think it's interesting that, they went with such a small cast and really, made it very exclusive. And I think that, these actors, they're okay, they're decent, they've done some okay stuff, but overall, I don't think that they were really casted that well. And I don't think they could have brought the delivery that they did, as well as, I would say, somebody else being, added into this film. Or even, as if you have known, originally Ryan Gosling was attached to this film. I think Ryan Gosling would have done a better job than the main lead in this film. But overall, I think he did an okay job, but I still think that it could have been better with a different cast. Now, to start us off is none other than the main guy himself, Mr. Wolfman himself, Mr. Christopher Abbott! Oh yeah, Christopher Abbott! Woo! Christopher Abbott! Yeah! So Christopher Abbott plays the main character of the Wolfman / husband. And, Christopher Abbott has been around. He's done a few things over the years. I wasn't too familiar with him as an actor. I've seen him in a couple things, but I really wasn't too sure of him being a leading man. And I feel that, he had a lot of great potential, but I don't think the directing was given to him enough to really get the best performance out of him. I still think he did a decent job, and I think that he had some really great moments throughout the whole entire film. But overall, I think that he just could have done a better job and could have taken it to a whole different level and just made the character even better than it ended up being in the film. And I was really kind of disappointed that, his character kind of, as the movie progressed, his dialogue gets less and less, and you don't really get to see him perform except for really kind of facially and kind of almost sign language like. But even in that state that he's trying to bring to it, I didn't feel he brought exactly 100% to that, and could have done even more things with that would have been, more entertaining or more realistic or added to the role into the movie. And I just don't think it really did well. Now, if you haven't seen Christopher Abbott in anything, definitely a film to check him out in. I think is one of the roles I've seen him in that I actually thought he was really decent in. Was a great film that came out a few years ago called First Man. Yeah! First Man, yeah. He actually plays one of the astronauts of one of the first Apollo missions. And he was really fantastic as a character. I love what he brought to it. I like that he gave us this really great kind of rendition of that astronaut. And I think he did a good job of giving him justice and kind of giving you an idea of who he was and, what he was about and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was done really well. And I just think that really showed Christopher Abbott's acting abilities, and it showed, I felt like he has some decent acting ability. And so I was really surprised that it wasn't translated into the Wolfman like it could have been. But overall, I think his performance as that astronaut character was really done well, and he just really brought a really great sense to that character. If you haven't seen Christopher Abbott, I think definitely check out his performance in First Man. He was really superb in that. But overall, I think he was pretty mediocre in Wolfman. I think he could have done so much more to the character. But overall, I did enjoy his character. I did enjoy his kind of evolution in the film, and I think overall, I think he was just a really interesting character that had so much more potential. If you haven't seen Christopher Abbott in anything recently, go check him out in The Wolfman. He did an okay job. So that brings me to the final actress I like to talk about that was in this film, and that is none other than the wife of the Wolfman in this film, Miss Julia Garner. Oh yeah, Julia Garner. Woo, Julia Garner, yeah. So Julia Garner, you might recognize from a few things. You might recognize her, of course, from she's going to be in the upcoming Fantastic Four film as a version of the Silver Surfer. You might recognize her from a few things over the years, and she's just one of those actresses that looks very much like she should be stuck in the 20s. Like, she's got that look about her. She looks like one of those starlets from the 20s, I feel. You know, like Mae West and so forth and something like that. She just has kind of that look to her, very much so. But overall, I don't think she's anything that great of an actress. I think she's kind of overrated. And so when I found out she was playing the kind of the characters, I had hopes for her. But overall, I just thought that her character was so stupid in the film. I disliked her whole character throughout the film. And it was just too bad that she could have been better, in the film and given us a little more to her character. Because she felt very kind of, one note, kind of flatlined the whole entire film. And it's too bad because I think that she has potential to be a decent actress. And I think that she has a lot more to offer than what she brought to her role in this film. And I just think that she could have had a better encompassing type of relationship with the characters in the film and how she dealt with it and stuff like that. And at the same time, she's supposed to be a city woman who knows how to jumpstart a car and all this kind of stuff, which I found kind of odd because most city people aren't very familiar with that because either A, if they live in like New York City, most people don't own a car, in New York City. They use the, public transportation, stuff like that. If they do own a car, they're using AAA to jumpstart their car and stuff like that. So, I thought that was kind of odd that they had her be that kind of like that intelligent level when I feel the character throughout the whole entire film was like almost like blah. And I was like, well, like that was really bad writing, I felt. And I think that, Julie, did an okay job with what she had to work with. At the same time, I don't think that she took it to the level that she could have, too. Because I think she has more potential as an actress than she brought to this role. Now, if you're not familiar with anything that Julie Gardner's been in, definitely a movie to check her out, and I think is pretty much one of the only other roles I've seen her in that I found her okay in. I thought that she did an okay job in. It was a film that came out a few years ago called Sin City, A Dame to Kill. Yeah, Sin City 2. Yeah. So I think that she was decent in that film. It was a very small role, but overall, what she brought to it was on point and delivered in that film. And I really enjoyed that, she kind of played to her strengths of the film, and she played kind of like a femme fatale type of character. And I think that played out very well for her, and she did a good job of giving us this very small but very prominent role that really worked well with all the other film actresses that were in the film that she was working with. And so I think that really showed a good, portion that she does have some acting chops that she can deliver a decent performance. And that I do think that she did a good job in. If you haven't seen Julie Gardner, I think definitely check her out in Sin City, Dame to Kill. She actually did a pretty decent job in that. But overall, I did not care too much for her in this film. I thought she could have been way better. And overall, I wish she had gone in a different direction with her character. If you haven't seen Julie Gardner or anything recently, go check her out in The Wolfman. See what you think of her performance in this film. So what is The Wolfman about? Basically, the premise of the story is this man finds out that his dad has been finally legally dead and has basically been given his old house that he grew up in as a kid. And so he decides to take his family out there to kind of rebuild their family after kind of having this falling out with his family. And while they're there, unfortunately, a craziness ensues that ends up taking them on a wild ride that they never wanted to be on. Very, great idea of the Wolfman. Absolutely loved the idea of the Wolfman, but this film just did not deliver what I was looking for in a Wolfman film. I definitely thought the 2010 one was better. I thought the 1940s one was a lot better, and even the other iterations of the Wolfman in other films have been way fantasticer. And I just thought that this definitely was trying to take it way to a different level that did not, I feel, portrayed what the Wolfman is all about, being a universal classic horror monster character. Whereas it's considered a horror classic, it's considered, the horror genre, whereas this was definitely more, felt like a thriller type of film that happened to include somebody that was changing into a Wolfman. And so I just thought that they could have done so much better with it. I thought they could have made such a better film. It just was so dead in certain spots, and I just feel some of the things were just stupid, like seeing him as he's evolving into the Wolfman, his eyes seeing like a dog. That was freaking stupid, I thought. And then like just how he evolves throughout the film. It like there's no like context of like, oh, maybe he'll pull through. It just was like, nope, he's done. It's a virus. It's killing him. That's it. We know he's dead, type of deal. And it didn't give you any like of that like hope or feeling or good feeling or anything like that. It just was sad and depressing, and that just doesn't feel like a great Wolfman film, where the other ones, they brought a little bit of hope. Even though the outcome was how it was, it still was entertaining, and this one just did not feel that entertaining. If you haven't seen The Wolfman yet, highly recommend checking it out for yourself. See what you think. It's not one of my favorite films of 2025. Definitely, don't think it's anything that great. I give it 3 golden movie boxes up out of 10. I was really disappointed with it. Other than that, I still think it's definitely worth at least one watch just to see what you think about it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out in theaters now. Check it out. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, also thank you for being a part of this channel. And if you are a huge part of this channel and you love what you see on here, please check out my Patreon page, where that'll help out the channel to get you more new awesome content, where you can get to see outtakes, bloopers, all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely check that out. So those people, catch you in the next one.